Monday, everybody, and welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at The Dan Urban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges. And subscribe to us wherever you listen.
And if you like this show, and I know you do, give us that 5-star review.
And head on over to abcboxing.com to read the scoring criteria, because we talk about MMA judging on this show.
Like all the time.
That's what we do.
That it is,
So
sir.
we should probably do that.
Yeah. We could do that. You know what? No, I actually want to talk about TV shows today. That's all we're gonna do, because I've been watching a bunch of TV shows. I
just finally saw the finale of The Big Bang Theory last night.
Oh,
the final episode of it.
Were you an avid watcher until apparently recently?
It's like a.
And by recently, I mean like several years ago when the show ended.
No, it's a show I watch like to fall asleep to.
Oh, okay. So my wife watched it. I don't watch it.
Mm.
I would be like in the room when she was watching, and I didn't really care for it.
The one
and I love all all the nerdy stuff and everything. I'm all into the same stuff as them. I just didn't think it was that funny a show.
Yeah, I'm more Modern Family is one that I followed. I just
that's a good one.
I didn't watch the final season yet because I kind of don't want it to end. So
I just thought
at
that
some
show
point I
ran too
have
long.
to watch it. No, it's the greatest show ever. It should run forever.
No, stop that.
They need a spinoff.
Stop it. No. Most comedies should never go past like 7 seasons.
Cam and Mitch, the spinoff would be great.
I like them. They're fun, but you know,
would be great.
Just maybe 7 seasons and then just stop.
Mm-mm.
Or the Community route, which they didn't actually do, but 6 seasons in a movie.
Movies are good.
6 seasons in a movie. That's what honestly, that should be like a legal thing.
Okay.
Every show, if you're gonna go that long, 6 seasons and a movie, and then you're done. No more.
Okay.
Yeah. But we don't have to talk about TV anymore. That was kind of a joke, but we're gonna talk about fights again. We're talking about judging. Just like we said.
Yes.
Just like you said. And let's talk it, because we've got a lot of judging to talk about. But before we do get into our contested rounds, of which we have plenty coming off of this 58th UFC in the UFC Apex in Las Vegas for a fight night. So UFC Vegas 58, as they call it for short. And I mean, there really isn't a whole lot, I think, to unpack from this one. It kind of was just like general fight night card to plug in, to the schedule, which we've been spoiled lately. We've had a lot of, I think, pretty good ones, fight nights and pay-per-views in the last month plus. So I don't want to sit here and drag them like we kind of have sometimes when there's a bunch of fight nights in a row, right? But this was kind of just one of those like, there's a decent fight at the top, and then we kind of have the rest of the card is like there's some fights on there. But the main event, of course, the Battle of Rafaels.
Yes.
Did you like the Battle of the Rafaels?
I mean, if I was Rafael Nadal, I'd be pretty scared right now.
Well, especially because he's got like a torn like abdominal muscle or something like that. Like, he is not in a position to defend himself.
No, not good.
Intelligently. So I imagine this fight would end rather quickly.
Yeah. Speaking of intelligently defending himself, I thought that was a great stoppage from Mark Smith.
Yeah, I agree. That's something we really ought to talk about, is just the fact that there was the uproar, I guess, the murmurs, so to speak, of kind of people talking about that stoppage and whether it was an early stoppage, whether it wasn't an early stoppage. And you had everybody kind of reacting like, gee, I don't know. And then you got all the other camera angles, and pretty much everybody with a brain was like, oh,
yep.
Well, obviously that's a good stoppage.
Yeah.
And you know what that actually did for me? That it kind of popped in my head today, is just how much people are willing to just accept, oh, okay, I guess they had a different view maybe than we had when it comes to refereeing and that type of thing. But they don't think of it when it comes to judging. And it's always like, well, I saw it this way at home. It must be better to watch it on a screen, right?
Yeah. You know what? Last night I noticed we didn't get great views on some things where we had the one fighter back to us and we couldn't see the fighter that he was facing.
Sure.
On a lot of angles.
Like a lot, like kind of where they're, right in one front of the other is what you're saying?
Yeah,
one in front of the other.
Yeah, you're behind both guys, but they're both facing each other, and their back is to you.
Which they try to avoid. They do try to kind of keep it, one side and the other side. I
felt we got more of that when action was happening.
It didn't occur to me. I can think of times where it happened, sure, but I didn't think of it as anything more or less than any other time. You might be right. I don't want to. Not telling you wrong.
They've experienced. I'm saying they've experienced it where they don't see something that great.
Sure, absolutely. So, but on the other side, I think a lot of what it is that most people just have not sat that close.
No.
They really just haven't sat close enough to understand how much different you experience a fight by being that close. Now, there's some who have been that close, and they still can't understand. And to them, I say, why don't you step out a little bit and try to put yourself in someone else's shoes? But also, it's just one of those things. I think if we had, like, let's say, just for argument's sake, they said, well, we're going to put a judge cam, and it's not going to be attached to the judge's head, but it's going to be like
There's technology for it.
a fixed angle. Let's say it could even be like a different angle, like a different spot in the cage than where the judges actually occupy, like one of the other panels, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just put like a small little camera there that can like swivel and turn its head a bit, and just have that as like something that fans could experience and say, like, okay, this is what everything looks like from here. I think it would be kind of interesting.
Fight Pass always had that fixed camera angle. They had the corner audio option.
Yeah.
They got rid of all the cool stuff.
They did. One of the other reasons of which there are many why Fight Pass kind of sucks.
Yeah, besides having a lot of fights.
Oh, it's got a lot of
That's
fights,
it.
got a lot of content, but also it doesn't. It took away all like the cool stuff.
Yeah. It'd be cool to have that judge's cam.
Yeah. But I wish that more people would kind of think about the fact that, when we saw a different camera angle on a stoppage that maybe was, let's call it questionable to other people, not to me, but to other people, if we had them be able to come around and say, oh, okay, I guess from a different angle, that definitely you could see why the fight would be reasonably stopped there.
Mm-hmm.
They'd probably be able to say the similar things about certain exchanges in fights that maybe don't look as good or look better than they do sitting at home.
For sure.
And they might understand it better, but they just don't. I don't know. It was just something that popped in my head on a Sunday, realistically.
Yeah, I would like that, but
as far as the fight, again, good stoppage. Mark Smith did a good job. As far as the fight, what do you think it should be next for the winning Rafael and the losing Rafael? Rafael Fiziev, of course, got the win, knocking out Rafael dos Anjos, excuse me. What do you think's next for Fiziev? What do you want?
What I want will not happen.
That's fine.
But I want it, and I think it's the only thing that makes sense. I want Fiziev and Islam Makhachev to fight. I want to see what does Islam do to a guy who's proven he can stay on the feet, and I want to see what Fiziev can do if he can stop Islam's offensive takedowns. And those are the two questions I want answered. I want them answered rather sooner than later.
It's definitely an interesting matchup. I would go another way in a fight that also is not going to happen next, but would probably make a little decent amount of sense and be a fun fight, and there's a little bit of a storyline now. Fiziev against Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I guess because they were beefing a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and it's kind of like it's still like a decently high ranked opponent for Conor, because one, he doesn't deserve it. I'm gonna say right now, he does not deserve to fight Rafael Fiziev right now. He actually doesn't deserve it. From a ranking standpoint.
From a
ranking
fighting standpoint.
From a sporting meritocracy standpoint, he doesn't deserve that fight right now. He has not won a fight at 155 pounds since Eddie Alvarez, right? Because Cowboy was at 170? Or was that one at 155?
Cowboy was 170.
Yeah. So he hasn't won a fight at 155 pounds in almost 6 years.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing. I also was thinking Conor for RDA next. That'd be a fight.
I mean, that certainly would fix the kind of the time loop that we lost because of the fact that he was supposed to fight RDA, and then that fight fell out because of Nate, and they never got that title fight, right?
Mm.
So there's definitely a narrative there too, and I could totally see that. But I would say for Dos Anjos, I want to say it was posed by somebody on the post-fight UFC broadcast, him against Arman Tsarukyan. I actually like that.
They were saying, okay, I wasn't listening too close. I thought they meant for Fiziev and Arman Tsarukyan. That was
that wouldn't make any sense.
I know
he's coming off a loss.
But I'm saying that's what I was.
I know it's
background noise,
not
for
a
me.
questionable loss. But yeah, I'm pretty sure. And look, whether they said it or not, I like it anyway. I don't care who said it. This is actually something that makes a lot of sense to me. Either they said it and I interpreted it right, or I misinterpreted what they said, and I still think it's a good idea. So RDA against Tsarukyan, I think makes a lot of sense because it's two guys coming off of losses. Is RDA gets somebody who's still an opponent of regard, of renown.
Yeah,
and of course we get Tsarukyan gets an opponent with a decent name, but he's also coming off a loss, so he can really kind of gain something from this in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think RDA definitely wants tough fights still. Like it seems like he's gosh, he was taking off the gloves after the fight, and I'm like, oh no, because I'm like shell shocked now from everybody taking off the gloves the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. We had 2 retirements last week. So it's like anytime they took off the gloves, they're like, "What the hell are they doing? What's going on?"
Yeah, I can imagine they're uncomfortable after.
No,
a
I
while,
imagine too. I mean, it makes a
so.
lot of sense. We've seen times other than this where they took off the gloves and it was just taking them off. But
I've never wrapped my hands for any practice or anything.
I've never wrapped my hands for any reason.
It's probably. I bet it's annoying.
I would imagine so. I'm like I said, I've never done it. So, but yeah, I like him against Sarukian. I actually think it's a decent fight.
Okay.
And I think it'll be a fun fight.
Yeah, it's a fine fight.
Shoot, you could even make that a main event if you really want to.
You could, yeah.
Like a fight night main event, yeah. Obviously.
I wonder if they're going to treat Sarukian like he's coming off a loss, though.
But even if they are, this isn't that terrible of a fight for him. I mean,
no,
it's obviously it's still a losing fighter, but it's also a losing fighter against a champion losing fighter, former champion losing fighter, who still has, again, I think a lot of respect in that weight class. Is Rafael dos Anjos not a top 10 lightweight still?
Well, if Conor McGregor's a top 12, then RDA is definitely top 10. So
yeah, I think he's firmly, regardless of where he stands compared to Conor, I think he's a top 10. I know what you're saying.
I mean, Tony Ferguson's still in the mix on the rankings panel. So
well, somebody put this out there in the last couple weeks, and I guess it was probably since the pay-per-view, and I like this idea: Tony Ferguson against Jim Miller.
Oh yeah. I like that.
That's a fun fight.
Jim loves that fight too.
He should.
I mean, that's the type of fight he wants.
And that's the type of fight he wants. I think that's the type of fight people would like to see from Jim Miller over these next 2 years as he kind of makes the slow descent into UFC 300 and likely retirement, it seems like. And then Tony Ferguson gets somebody who, and this is absolutely not disrespectful to Jim Miller, but somebody who's lower ranked and gives him a chance to maybe get a little bit back on track because he's been fighting everybody who's in the top 10, basically. Give him a chance to fight someone who's just a little lower ranked. I think we all win in this scenario.
Say Jim goes out, gets his 4th stoppage in a row. He's in the rankings then.
Correct.
He's got to be top 15.
Correct.
Make another title run.
I mean, maybe. That's another fun way to do it too, right?
Oof.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, see, there you go. I got you on board. Now you got to stump for this on social media.
I will. I mean, I got Brandon Royal that bonus.
You did. That was all you.
That was all me.
I'm guaranteed it was you. You have a big social imprint. Other than this fight, of course, people were whining about, to kind of softly get us into the contested rounds here before we really get there. People were whining about a split decision that's going to be our lead contested rounds here between Jamie Malarkey, pardon me, and Michael Johnson. They were whining about this fight.
I don't know why.
Not because of how fun it was, but because immediately upon learning that the fight was a split decision and didn't go the way of their preferred winner, which was Michael Johnson, everyone just starts trashing, oh, this judging, awful, poor judging, Guys, it was a fun fight. Why can't we just enjoy things?
Fun, super close fight. And let's be honest, if we judge this thing on a whole, Jamie Malarkey's winning it. So,
that's a tough call, actually. Honestly,
I thought round 2 was such a beating.
But round 3 was a really solid round for Michael Johnson. So that's why I'm saying it's very even debatable there.
Maybe because it's towards the end.
I don't know.
I
mean, look, I wasn't sitting there thinking like that, right? So it's kind of hard for me to
the thought just came to my head right now.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on it, but like I would push back on like going right down with you immediately. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about pride judging,
it's
right?
Very true.
We're just talking about the fact that we watched a fight. We had a fun fight. We enjoyed this fight. We had 2 knockdowns in the first round, 1 from each guy. It doesn't matter how UFC stats scored them. Both of these guys were hurt. And that's really what matters. That's why I wish the UFC would track times that they were quote unquote hurt and determine that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
Like when I say hurt, I'm thinking like times that Joe Rogan would go, "Oh, he's hurt. Oh."
That'd be great if they just put O's.
They could call them Rogans or something like that. I don't care. I don't care what you do. Just track something that makes more sense than just knockdowns. Because knockdowns isn't the thing that... It's not boxing. Everyone says it's not boxing, and then they sit there and try to make it boxing. And I don't get it.
Yeah. And while you're at it, get rid of control.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just top time. That's it.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, if they're really going to track control, I don't want you to count times they're in control against the cage standing. Because... That's that position that we just don't care about. There's very little that's happening. You're not going to get a submission there more often than not.
Unless you're Anjos.
Yeah. There's a very Very rare circumstances, right? Jim Miller, by the way, I mentioned that
Yeah.
to him because obviously,
Oh, yeah?
you always talk about the Benson Henderson fight and how he went for that standing arm triangle.
If he tripped him, I think he finishes him.
He doesn't even think that was like the crazy one. He said he went for some other stuff in that fight. He said he went for like a bunch of some. You should go watch that fight again.
I from what I recall, I think he also went for leg locks and just took a pounding.
Those were the things that he kind of sounded like he regretted a little bit more in
Okay.
that fight. We were talking that one a little bit. I'm gonna we'll talk more about that off the air at some point, but. To get back to this fight, though, to get back to Malarkey and Johnson here, I just don't get why people can't just sit there, especially like regular people who don't care about judging, like you and me. Like we're nerds about this stuff, right? We're judging geeks. People should look at us and be like, look at these nerdy losers talking about the judging rounds. That's what they should be doing with us every time.
Criteria nerds, I think.
Criteria nerds.
What we're called, so.
That's us. That's us. And that's okay. I wear that with a badge of honor, right? I think you do too.
Yeah.
But even I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is just a fun fight.
It was a great fight.
It was a fun fight. And it wasn't a fight that I sat there and like didn't put any thought into the judging. Like I watched that round like closely. I watched round one closely. And you know what? I think we can kind of just slide into contested rounds here. I watched round one closely and I scored it for Johnson, right? I'll tell you right now, I scored it for Johnson. But let's talk about this round. Why don't you go over what happened? And let's go over why maybe this isn't such a crazy thing.
So I think it's a close round in the early go. I think it's a close round overall, but in the early, it's still pretty close. I think Johnson has an edge there for like the first 3 minutes, landing some good straight shots. Malarkey's landing some solid leg kicks. I think it's very competitive. And then Johnson ends up landing a big right-left, knocks Malarkey down, follows him to the ground, hits him with a couple shots, and then Malarkey's able to, I think, probably grab inside the glove, maybe fingers inside the glove, a little self-preservation there.
That is the foul that will never, ever get a point taken, by the way.
So, and Johnson's just like, I'm stuck here. He's got his fingers in my glove. How am I going to get out of here? I guess Malarkey eventually recovers. He's like, all right, let's get back on the feet. They're back on the feet, and then Malarkey lands a big shot that drops Johnson, lands some of those Travis Brown type elbows in the scramble they're in after Johnson desperately shoots. And when he gets up, he's clearly wobbled, swinging wildly. I think Johnson was slightly more hurt than Malarkey was, but it's really close. I can't fight someone saying Johnson. I think we should just appreciate it for a fantastic fight, but I did score it 10-9 Malarkey.
I think you can easily argue that Malarkey was had Johnson slightly more hurt, and it's really close, right? I think when you go over the rest of the round and the other strikes that were being landed one way or the other, I think it's much easier to say, well, Johnson could have made up the difference there with the way, because it doesn't just come down to those two things. Immediate obviously is weighed heavily, but like those two elements of the round were pretty close, and I think you don't just throw everything else out that happened, right? And I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but that's part of the reason why I thought it was a little easier for me to go for Johnson here, just because of the other things that occur over the course of these 5 minutes. But having said that, if you want to weigh that more heavily because you thought Malarkey had him more hurt, that's okay. I don't think that there's anything crazy about that. I'm pretty sure that fits very neatly into the scoring criteria.
Yeah, I do. I do think Johnson probably had the edge for that first 3 minutes of the fight, but I don't think it was that big of an edge.
Sure.
So,
but I think that's why I would argue I don't know how big of an edge Malarkey even had in terms of the knockdowns. You know, it's really how you interpret that stuff, and that's really what comes out. Interpretation, assessment of what's going on. It's not what happened; it's how you assess what happened. You know, and that's incredibly subjective. It's just the way it is. It's based on what you're seeing from your seat if you're a judge, or what you're seeing on your monitor if you're at home, or if you're maybe the judge is using the monitor, maybe they're using the screen. They're obviously they have the options there, right? Typically the judges at this level are the ones trying to use their eyes more often than not. I have observed just kind of anecdotally, it seems like among judges who work in Vegas, I've seen Anthony Maness, who was one of the 3 judges in this fight. I've seen him use the screen maybe just a little bit more often than I've seen other judges who are in situations like that. And that's not a knock. And maybe that's just me seeing a few things here and there, right? It doesn't mean that's how it really is, but I've just kind of observed that before. And it's just interesting that he happens to be on this fight, right? But yeah, this is such an easy round to say, well, I guess it could go either way. It depends on how how much you rate those first 3 minutes compared to those last two with the knockdowns on each side. And it's not just, well, it's not the knockdown, it's how well they're the Rogans, right? The Rogans. How much they're hurt. We got to start using that.
The O's.
Ow! Ow! He's hurt!
He's hurt.
And then I love when Rogan, there's that gif of Rogan when there was like a crazy finish at some point, and he looks like he's seen a ghost, like in Ghostbusters, and he's like, his eyes are bugged out and he's looking around as if like, you know, like his hair would be standing up if he had like hair, you know?
So that's why I love him, because I think he's just there to just have a great time, and I think he does.
I mean, in that sense, yes, he's fun, but I don't know. He doesn't. It doesn't seem like he keeps up as much with the sport as he used to, and that's kind of where I get a little irked. But that's a whole nother topic, right? To get back to this, this isn't the round that I think people ought to be going crazy about. If there's any round in a split decision that you're gonna go crazy about, this isn't it, guys. It's close. It's close either way. You can see it for Johnson, like I did. Dan, you saw it the other way. That's okay. I saw it the same way as Mike Bell, who was the out judge. I saw it the same way as most media members who turned in scores. I think it was like 5 or 4 malarkey scores.
I thought majority. Only 4 or 5. You were in the majority.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay,
I'm in the majority. Sorry, there was only like 4 or 5 of them that saw it. I think you were one of them.
I was
actually.
one. And
you were one. Sheehan was one.
Sheehan had 29-27.
Yeah, he had a 10-8 in one round. I think he probably went a little too far there.
A little stretch.
Yeah, and you know, we love Sean. We respect Sean. I respect the hell out of Sean.
It was a great beating though that he did take in round 2.
But yeah, I didn't see it that way. No, it's not crazy for it to be a Johnson round or a malarkey round. And yeah, I saw other media who tuned in scores or tuned in. I keep saying tuned in. Who turned in scores like me. 10-9 Johnson, 29-28 Johnson overall. And a lot of them were saying the same as us, like, yeah, close round, could go either way. But then there's people who are just going to point to that and say, well, the media mostly sided that way. It's like, yeah, but that's just like a black and white thing here. It's more than that. Like, and we can talk about that. The judges are not at liberty to talk about that, unfortunately, but at least we can.
I think in this fight, the only thing, I think a 30-27 would have been bad. But that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, no, there are 2 other rounds that are quite definitive either way.
Like if it went, I think you can go 29-28 either way, which did happen.
Yeah. And
I think that the 10-8 is defendable in round 2 by the criteria if they went 29-27. And I think that with that being said, you could end up on a 28-28, but it's not how it happened.
I think I probably would have leaned pretty strongly against the 8 in round 2. I don't know. That's me, but I wasn't really. We didn't get over there, and it's not something I kind of re-engaged with, so I don't want to go deep into how I would have felt about that, right? But you obviously saw it with the majority, which was Derek Cleary and Anthony Manus. That's fine. Leave them alone. Derek Cleary is actually the outjudge on a lot of these rounds today. We'll be talking about him, but here, even though I went against him, no problem.
Yeah.
And no one else should either. There was another split decision, though, and that was Antonina Shevchenko getting the win, all 29-28s over perpetual split decision loser Courtney Casey.
So a stat about her.
Like, you just had to know, like, going into this fight that, like,
cool
if you were,
like
if you were betting, if you had the ability, I don't know, Dan, did you bet? Do you have the ability to bet on a split decision?
Certain books you can bet by split decision or majority decision or unanimous. Because
for goodness sakes, like, if Courtney Casey's on, like, why aren't you betting split decision as a prop? Why not? Just bet that it's a split decision, or that she loses a split decision. Because, oh my goodness, this poor woman. Nonetheless, round 2 was our split here. Shevchenko won the first, Casey won the third. I think some people were kind of even thinking round 1 might have been the split round, and it didn't end up being that way. But we're not going to go deep into that. Let's talk about round 2, Dan. So what happened?
Yeah, round 2, Shevchenko is landing all her shots pretty much. A couple good kicks are mixed in. She lands that nice kick to the face. Her straight punches are getting through nicely. Nothing too big, but everything she's landing is pretty solid. Casey is missing with almost all of hers. The ones she does land are pretty solid, though. I don't think it's enough to take the round, but the final 20 seconds, she has a nice flurry, lands like 3 solid punches. I don't think that's enough to overtake it, so 10-9 Shevchenko.
You watch this round, and it takes a really long time for you to understand, like, why anyone might even think about this being a Casey round. Because it doesn't look like anything like a Casey round until those last, I think it's more like 12 seconds. It's really, really late in the round. And I just don't think what she did there with that solid impact, which was probably the best impact of the round, and maybe even the fight. I can't remember, but definitely of the round. It just it didn't look like she had Shevchenko hurt enough to change who won the round. Right? I'm with you.
Right, yeah, you can't just throw away 4 minutes of good work.
Just because of like the best strike on the round, which didn't actually have her that close. I don't see it. I think you can at least make an argument
You can
for
make it, yeah.
You know, but I didn't see it myself. And I think the better round score here is for Shevchenko. I think that is the better round score. I don't think it's wrong to go the other way. So you and I are both seeing it the same way as Derek Cleary, who was on every one of these rounds practically in one way or the other, right? Welcome back, Derek. And then him and Adelaide Bird saw it the same way as you and I did. It was Junichiro Kamijo who saw it for Casey, who was the champion for Casey that a lot of people, I don't think anyone went crazy about this one because I think they were just so distracted by the fact that it was Courtney Casey losing another split decision, and it was just like a stunning thing, but also not stunning.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a stat that she's like past 5 fights have went to split decision. She's lost 4 of them or something like that.
It's probably her last 4 or 5 decisions. I think she has like a win in there somewhere. Okay. I think she won by armbar.
That makes sense.
I want to say she armbarred like Maramura Barella. That stands out on top of my head.
Women's MMA armbars.
Yeah, that's true. An armbar. Yeah, not crazy. This fight, I think everybody kind of forgot about this fight, especially with Michael Johnson, because it was like the next fight.
Yeah,
it was the next fight, or was it?
No, it wasn't the next. This was early. This was early in the night.
It wasn't nah. Well, okay, you know what? No, I think it was. I think there was this one, and then there was Corey Brundage was in the middle, and then it was that one.
Okay.
I think there was like a Buffer fight, not a Bruce Buffer fight, because he wasn't on this one.
He should fight.
No, he's an old man. Leave him alone.
Bet he'd be pretty good.
I mean, maybe in his day, but definitely not now. We're gonna circle back actually to the main event because there was one split round in Fiziev against Dos Anjos, which of course was a 5th round stoppage here. Dos Anjos had lost the first 2 rounds. He ended up winning the 4th round, but round 3 was split. So, Dan, why? Why are we talking about this?
I mean, it's a pretty close round. Neither guy really separates themselves in the round, so maybe right there, it's probably gonna be tough to have a unanimous round, even though it could happen. RDA does well in the clinch, but nothing crazy. Some good knees. At distance, Fiziev is landing kicks to all targets, but not really anything that hard. Some good punches to the head. RDA lands a few good rights when it's on the feet. I think it's close, but I think Fiziev was a bit more effective. RDA didn't have as much offense.
Yeah, this one seemed like a reasonable round to give to Fiziev, but I guess. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably an argument for RDA.
It's lower output.
I'm not. Yeah, that's always tougher, of course. And we had some lower output rounds in this one, and then we had in this event, I should say. Overall, we had some lower output rounds, and then we had some pretty high output rounds, and those are like obviously like the 2 extremes you just don't want because it makes it hard. I feel like at least for me, I'm not a judge, but I would imagine putting myself in a judge's shoes that's probably not as ideal. Because it's like, wow, you just got so much, or I just don't have nearly enough. And if it's close, it's like, goddamn. But no, I had this for Fiziev. Sal D'Amato did. So Junichiro Kamijo. It was Derek Cleary who was the judge on his own, and we didn't see it that way.
No, but also, not a crazy round to get
not a hill I'm going to die on. We did have another fight, of course. We got a bunch. It was 11 rounds in total, so we're not even quite halfway through. We're not even really close. Said Nurmagomedov. No relation to Khabib. Nurmagomedov nonetheless. I wouldn't sign up to fight a Nurmagomedov. I don't care if they're related. He got the win over Douglas Silva de Andrade. 29-28 twice and a 30-27, but there were actually 2 rounds that were split. So let's talk about round 2 first.
Yeah, it's a close round, mainly because of the way it ends.
Yes.
In my opinion, I don't think it swung the round for Silva de Andrade. It's a competitive round, but throughout the round, Nurmagomedov is landing good kicks to the body. A couple upstairs are blocked, but Silva de Andrade's only memorable offense, really, in my opinion, is that spinning back fist at the end of the round. And I don't think Nurmagomedov got that hurt, just a flash knockdown coupled with him spinning, which he's probably spun, 40 times in that fight. If you think that strike did more damage, then I can see a score for it. I just didn't think it was, so I'm 10-9 Nurmagomedov.
I struggled with this one a lot, man. I really did. The round ended, and I took a lot longer to write down my score than I'd like to. And I'm not a trained judge, so it doesn't matter if I do that or not. But obviously, a top level judge probably is going to be able to write down the score within like 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not, you kind of look at them kind of funny, right? But this was really tough for me because I said, man, how much did that change it at the end? And I thought that there was enough throughout the round from Silva de Andrade that it wasn't just that last bit. Like it was definitely Nurmagomedov's round up until that point, no question. But I don't think it was like a total shutout or anything like that up to that point. And I didn't think that Nurmagomedov had done like a real high amount of high impact damage throughout. So I thought, you know what? I think I can go the other way for Silva de Andrade.
Hey, it's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, a lot of the shots upstairs did get blocked, but
yeah. No, I get it. It's definitely a round I don't even feel strongly about, right? Like I'm like, man, I don't even know. Right now, I'm sitting there. I'm like, did I give the right score? I don't know. I don't feel good about it, but I did score it that way. So I saw it the same way as Judge Bird. You saw it the same way as Judges Bell and Cleary. Once again, just every round Derek Cleary got on. He got bad luck with this one. It was like no one could really agree on everything. It was a tough event for him in general. Just in terms of a challenging night. I feel like not to say he had a bad night, but it was a challenging night. What about round 3? Because again, that was in our other split round here.
Yeah, this one kind of just started out real quick, straight into the grappling. Silva de Andrade gets a body lock against the cage. He's landing some knees to the butt, while Nurmi is landing some back elbows. After they separate, Silva lands a nice low blow, and they pause for a bit. Once they come back, post low blow, Nurmi turns it on. He starts landing some very good 2 solid head kicks. He throws another spin kick and falls down awkwardly. I don't think he got hit with anything in that exchange, but the way he fell was a bit awkward. On the ground here, we have Nurmi throwing up kicks and landing a couple decent ones, some up kicks. Reminded me of April 2011 when I went to the Men in Arena when Shorty Rock Santella applied the same strategy. I was like, wow, this is the exact same thing that Shorty's doing against Sidamar Onario. But back to this fight, Silva de Andrade is kicking the legs, then decides, I'm going to elbow the ankle. Herb Dean's like, all right, dude, that's enough. Stand up. We're not going to be elbowing
That's the
ankles.
revolutionary strike that they were talking about on the broadcast.
Let me elbow your ankle. De Andrade starts throwing and landing a couple good punches here, but Nurmi's he's landed some solid head kicks, 2 back-to-back. I think he landed like 5 head kicks this round. The fight ends with Silva de Andrade almost falling over after missing a spinning back fist by like 10 feet. I think it's almost...
He saw all the spinning stuff throughout the fight. He's like, I want to do that too.
Yeah, and he almost knocked himself down. I don't know. I like Nurmagomedov's here, 10-9.
I did too. 2 things came to mind while you were talking. One, you were talking about the knees to the butt.
Yeah.
When we have kicks to the leg, we call them leg kicks. When we have kicks to the calf, we call them calf kicks. When we have knees to the butt, can we call them butt knees?
Butt knees. I like that.
That's what they're called. They're now called butt knees.
Butt knees. They're stronger than Storley knees.
They're much better than Storley knees because everything is. That rate's very low on the damage level. The other thing that came to mind is, if you recall, Dan, Michael Bisping, during this fight, I want to say it was round 3, he was talking about that he's here to call fights, not judge. He pointed that out very distinctly because he was kind of like commenting on how the fight might be. And he said it could be 1-1, kind of the way I saw it actually. But then he's like, listen, I'm here to call fights. I'm not here to judge. And I like that.
Yeah.
That was like, that's the way to do it. He comments a little bit about where he thinks it is. He says, I'm not here to do that. And then he moves on.
I think
that was really good.
Bisping's the one that's grasping it the most so far, I believe.
He is trying.
So.
You could tell he's really trying. Yeah. And I think, like, I know it can kind of sound like, well, at least you tried, and it's like kind of like that whole that Simpsons meme, like at least you tried. And it sounds like it's like a kind of a, I guess, half praise, But I mean that. Like, I'm really happy that he is out there. He's putting in the effort. He's putting in the legwork. He's trying to put it out there that there's things he doesn't know. There's things that he does know and that he's learning, and he's trying to make the effort to get better. And he really does enhance the broadcast from an education standpoint just by doing that and by changing the way he talks about scoring. He's engaging with it in so much as to tell you, I think it might be this, but realistically, that's not why I'm here to do this. So don't worry about it. And then move back to what he's strong at. There's a lot of people who I see just don't like the way Michael Bisping does like call fights and stuff. And honestly, I'm starting to think that they're a little crazy. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean the only issue I think we ever had was early pandemic when he was aware that fighters could hear him.
But he came off of that too.
Yeah,
I'm sure probably
yeah.
someone talked to him and they're
Yeah.
like, Michael, stop doing it. He's like, all right, fair play. I'm sure that's what he said. But one other thing I will point out is he was talking about, you could tell that he was mixing in a lot of things that he probably had talked about with that that judging conference or symposium or whatever the heck they had, meeting of the minds between the commentary team and officials, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of things get referenced in there. But at one point he said judges are looking for the 3 Ds: damage, dominance, and duration. Not exactly. It's that's for the 10/8. But it's not really what they're just looking for, like, in general. Like, it starts with effective striking and grappling. And that's the one thing that I wish he kind of grasped a little bit more. It's the same complaint I had about Mike Mazzulli when he with what he was talking about recently on a podcast that had been shared with us. And it's like halfway there, right?
Yeah.
It's like halfway to saying the right thing, but it's not like all the way there. So I think with better context, that would be good. But otherwise, you can just tell he's putting in the work, and I really appreciate it.
Did you notice on this broadcast if they mentioned how rounds were scored again, like they did for the pay-per-view?
No, I didn't think about it.
I didn't notice.
And honestly, I would have missed it entirely for the pay-per-view if not for Sean Sheehan putting it out there and pointing it out. So I'm glad he did that, because I actually, when he said that, when I saw that on Twitter, I was like, I actually rewound. I was like, oh wow, they said that, didn't they? Look at that. That was impressive.
They would actually, I rewound this time and I realized, like, wait, I'm a minute behind everybody on Twitter. What's happening right now? Because I rewound earlier because I wanted to rehear what Bisping said.
Yeah.
So,
well, there you go.
Let's move on.
Yeah, be kind, don't rewind. Yeah, we still have a lot more rounds. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds. Oh my God, we're not even halfway. We're gonna cross the halfway. We'll cross the halfway point here with Chase Sherman beating Jared Vanderaa in round 3 by knockout. Rounds 1 and 2, the previous rounds were both split because none of the 3 judges had the same scorecard. One had 2 rounds for Sherman. One had 1 round each, but it was round 1 for one and round 2 for the other, and then the other one had the inverse. So that's why we're going to talk about this fight. So round 1, what's going on?
Yeah, round 1, your standard tough man contest, brawl for all. Sorry, I'm not a heavyweight MMA fan, really.
I think you're being unduly unkind to this one. I think it was better than that, but I don't think it was like. Look, I also don't like heavyweight MMA, but I don't think it was that bad.
Didn't deserve a main card spot. Anyway,
I agree.
They stand there and they're just cracking each other. Vandeرا's throwing a lot of jabs, a couple leg kicks. I think early it's pretty clear Sherman is ahead. His leg kicks are strong. Landed a couple hard right hands. Final minute is where Vanderaa catches Sherman with a good shot, and it shuts Sherman down for, I'd say, a good 20 seconds before he's ready to engage again. And at this point, I think Vanderaa is slightly ahead. Then 10 seconds left. Sherman lands a good right. That backs Vanderaa off, and this strike puts it back over for me. 10-9 Sherman.
Yeah, I think so, too. And I think when you combine that with the fact that Sherman, I think, almost definitely was landing more frequently, you know, the cumulative effect of the strikes, that when you kind of account for the fact that both of them stung each other a little bit, and that kind of evened out, I think it was much easier for me to give the round to Sherman.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I almost flipped too because of the way Vanderaa was able to hurt him late, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's much easier to score that round for Sherman. I think it's a much better score for Sherman. But I get it. I get the argument that Tony Weeks might be making potentially for Vanderaa here. He was the out judge, and it was judges Doug Crosby and Anthony Maness who were the same as me and you, sir. By the way, Doug Crosby, Anthony Maness, and Tony Weeks is a bit of a surprising trio here for a heavyweight fight because these fights are not easy to judge. And I would say Tony Weeks and Doug Crosby are two of these 3 in general. They just don't put them on like title fights very often, if at all, anymore. So you would think that they would want to put a little bit of let's say, a team that they seem to have more trust and regard for with a heavyweight fight, or at least a more decent mix with maybe say like a Sal D'Amato in there, or a Derek Cleary or somebody like that. So it's tough to do with a heavyweight fight, and look what we got. We ended up with all 3 different scorecards as a result. You know, was it because of that? I don't know. It was just was it just a hard fight to judge? I don't know. But I thought round 1, realistically, the better round score is for Sherman. Although, again, I don't think it's a bad score to give it for Vanderaa.
Yeah, I think it's close enough.
I
also really don't care.
I know you. You've made that known, sir. I don't know if you've realized that, but your intent has come across, I think, to me and our readers, or our listeners. Excuse me. What about round 2?
Another close round. In the first half, I definitely thought Vandeira was winning it. His jab was snapping the head back a whole bunch of times. But as the round went on, Sherman started finding the target with his right, and these were pretty heavy shots. Vandeira also had a couple heavy ones, but I think Sherman overall was the better guy to pick here.
Yeah.
So 10-9 Sherman.
Yeah, and actually, this one I find to be a much easier round to go either way, to be honest. I just do. I don't have as strong opinion on it as the other one. So, but yeah, I saw the same way as you. Saw it the same way as Doug Crosby, Tony Weeks. It was Anthony Maness who was on his own here for Vandeira. But yeah, fine score. No big deal. Moving on now to if this was the deceptive fight, right? You hear 29-28's all around for Ayman Zahabi over Ricky Turcios, and you think, okay, everyone had the same way.
Well, I texted you that too after it.
I know you did.
I said, please.
You were so upset.
Please let this be the same rounds.
And it definitely wasn't, because rounds 1 and 2 were both split. It was not a unanimous 29-28. So that's why it was kind of that deceptive one, that now we can see the scores, we see the individual rounds. So we're going to talk about those rounds right now. So let's start with round 1, sir. What happened?
Yeah, Turcios is making a lot of noise, making a lot of movements.
And literal noise, not like in his actions, but just in noise.
Yelling, clapping, stomping.
Yeah.
Nothing for fighting, really. For most of this round. He doesn't land anything, really, most of this round. I think he lands one kick to the body and one kick to the face. Zahabi isn't landing much, but what he does land is pretty solid. Turcios' eye's a little bit banged up. I'm not really sure which strike caused that. I think it's a good round for Zahabi. But when I watched this live, I did think Turcios hurt Zahabi with a right. On rewatch, I see that it didn't. When I first saw it, I thought he hit him with a right. And then Zahabi, he does this weird, he backs up for like 5 or 6 steps. I'm like, oh, I guess that right was pretty good, but it was just him getting out of the way on the rewatch.
Yeah, it's obviously, so you flipped, essentially, is what you're saying.
Yeah, 10-9 Zahabi is the score I'm on.
I had this one for Zahabi, too. I thought this was not a fascinating round in terms of action, right? Because of all the, it was annoying that he was making all these noises and doing all the gesturing and stuff like that, noise making, right? And, I mean, I don't want to project in what judges were seeing and hearing at that point. Maybe they're seeing things differently than we did. Maybe there were things that were really landing that we missed. I don't know. I don't want to just make that proclamation offhand, because I actually am really surprised that this was not a majority Zahabi round, because I think it's distinct how much more damage, from my vantage point watching on TV at home, how much more damage is coming from Zahabi to Turcios. And it's just nothing really seems to be effective coming off of Turcios, right?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. When I watched it live,
yeah,
they don't get the opportunity to rewatch it.
No,
so
of course.
Absolutely. If they see it oh, wow, I think you did hit him with that right hand and it hurt him a little bit, they have to score it how they see it.
But it almost seems to me, and again, if I'm wrong, someone tell me, but it almost looks like all the noises, all the gesturing, all that other stuff, if he was doing it to try and, let's say, fool the judge, it almost seems like it worked. Because this looks to me on rewatch as a pretty clear Zahabi round. It just does.
I would argue that it's still low output.
Sure, absolutely, and that's one thing that always sucks about these rounds. So I'm definitely sympathetic to all 3 judges here.
So I mean, I think definitely on rewatch, I think there's 100% Zahabi, but
yeah. No, that's the thing. That's why I feel like absolutely the right score here is Zahabi, and I'm not going to jump down the throats of the judges. Doug Crosby and Sal D'Amato saw it the same way as Turcios. Derek Cleary saw it as you and I did for Zahabi. It sucks. These type of rounds seem to suck, but also it really seems like Turcios kind of pulled a fast one here.
Yeah, but also you have to do it because that's a couch side override.
Oh, that was terrible. Wow.
That was the worst one ever.
That's really the worst one.
That was the worst one ever.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that one again. Derek Cleary deserves it. What does he deserve?
Couch side override.
You know what? You caught me when I wasn't quite ready, and all of a sudden it just made a noise. Oh, yeah, he deserves a real one there. Absolutely. What about round 2 of this one?
Round 2, at least Turcios is actually trying to fight instead of doing non-fighting things. Problem is, I don't think many of his strikes got past the forearms. Zahabi's countering really well with his left, landing good inside leg kicks. I think this is a pretty clear Zahabi round, 10-9.
I think so, too. Again, I think it's a little surprising that we get scores for Turcios here. I just don't think he's did enough in this fight, and not just in this fight, but in the individual 5-minute periods of this fight. I don't think he did enough.
He was very active, doing things.
Yes, he was moving.
Yeah,
he definitely moved in there, no question. And he was like, it was like you brought this up to me. You mentioned Caleb Starnes, right?
Yeah,
and it was like different than Caleb Starnes because while Caleb Starnes was doing all this moving around to get away from Nate Quarry in their obviously infamous fight from many years ago, he did everything he could to get away from Nate Quarry. This was Tercios kind of being the aggressor.
kind of like when you see a wild animal that can eat you in 2 seconds, you start banging pots and pans to try to get him to run away.
A little bit of that. That's good. The one that came to mind to me was more, it reminded me in its own way, in a different way, of Diego Sanchez. Coming forward, putting up like the impression, like,
the craziness
that
at
you're
the end.
trying, yeah, just trying to create chaos, but like in a different way. This was like labored, paced chaos, I guess, noisy chaos, like you said, tracing off the raccoons with the pots and pans. I have trouble seeing really in any of these rounds why Tercios has like a good argument, to make. And I don't want to jump down Derek Cleary's throat either, because he actually saw this one. Because obviously when we have the same score all 3 times, that means it's one judge had 2 rounds different than the others, right? And that was Derek Cleary here. We gave him the override in the other one. This one I don't think was the strongest of scores, to be honest, to give to Tercios. But I think hopefully people are aware now of what Tercios might bring to the table and be like, nah, I ain't getting fooled by that again.
I mean, he did land a lot of strikes to the forearms.
Yes,
So,
sure. Okay,
I
so
mean-
and that was actually, I'm glad you brought that up. That was another thought I had. I'm like, how much are judges weighing that type of thing in a round? Because you could break an arm that way. It
Yeah.
certainly happened. We've seen fighters who've then broken their arms and then won by knockout. Rich Franklin.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That was something that probably, I'm glad you brought this up. Is all these thoughts were coming through my head earlier. How much are judges weighing that? How much are you supposed to weigh that? I don't know.
Hopefully
It's
we
tough.
find out soon.
Because obviously you need to kind of have, a reason to say that gets scored strongly, right? Yeah, these are good questions. We gotta really make a good list
Yeah,
of
we
the
got
things
2
we
weeks,
want to ask,
so,
right?
yeah.
We do have 2 weeks, and we've got a long drive up there too, so we can talk about stuff.
Mhm.
And we'll sing 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yep.
Like 10,000 times. So yeah, no override for Derek Cleary on this one. He got the one, but yeah, this one I don't see it as strongly.
Yep, moving on.
Moving on, 2 more rounds. We're almost through, sir. Caio Borralho. God, his name is
Caio
hard.
Borralho, I think.
Borralho. Yeah, thank you. I can't say his name.
Just pretend there's a B in front of Ohio.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I did see the Ohio. Someone posted a picture of the state of Ohio on Twitter. I forgot about that. Borralho got the win over Armin Petrosyan. Unanimous decision, 30-27 twice and a 29-28. The only round that we're talking about is round 3 after the fight basically was already decided. What happened in round 3?
Yeah, Petrosyan obviously needed a finish. He came out throwing strikes, a bit aggressive. Borralho misses whatever he's returning with. Petrosyan did. I think he landed like a body kick or 2, a couple things to the head. But then Borralho gets the clinch and lands some decent knees to the legs. He gets around to the back, and then I think he was trying to drag him down because he just sits back and is on the ground now. On his back, Petrosyan just starts kicking his legs a whole bunch. Borralho lands some kicks to the legs from the back. Nothing real that you would even like really that good. I think he twisted him around in like a leg entanglement for a brief period. Then they stand back up and go straight back into another clinch where Borralho lands some knees. I think what Petrosyan did with his strikes was more effective overall, but at the same time, he was definitely losing the time spent in the clinch with Borralho landing these knees. I think it's close, but I ultimately sided Petrosyan 10-9.
I'm with you. I think we're talking about damage, right? Effective striking is the name of the game here. Effective grappling. I don't think there was enough effective grappling from Borralho. They should call him the Buckeye. That should be his new nickname.
No, he's the natural.
No, he's the Buckeye now.
Someone said the natural. I was like, oh, Randy Couture's
Caio the Buckeye Borralho. That would be.
That's a great nickname.
I think so.
Yeah.
I come up with better nicknames than people have. I like it.
Okay.
This is my job now. That's my new job, just coming up with nicknames. Hey, I nicknamed our buddy Tom Hales over at AMA Beast Mode.
Beast Mode.
That one
Hales.
stuck.
Yeah.
That one stuck, and he deserved it. He would go Beast Mode.
He is. He's still a beast.
I bet he is. I hope he's well.
It's a black belt. You know that, right?
I did. I was very
Okay.
excited when he got that a
Okay.
few years ago. Anyway, no one cares about that. We do, but most of the listeners don't know Tom Hales, right? Yeah, we saw it for Petrosian. I think this is the much easier score. I
don't think it's that easy.
I mean, look, I get it. There's not much happening in this round, right?
Yeah.
And the thing, he's like, I feel like he won this round. Excuse me, definitely didn't win the fight. I feel like he won this round because he was winning in terms of like that stand up sit down position where he's just laying there. That's a weird way to win a round, but also like,
But
what did Bahayo do?
He was. I thought the knees. I didn't think these knees were Storley knees.
Maybe they were. Maybe I underrated them. That's fair. So I don't want to go crazy here either.
I mean, basically, it's which leg kicks do you like better? Which leg attacks, pretty much.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I guess that's entirely fair. But yeah, maybe I underrate those knees in general. So, but no, I'm gonna stand by my score. I won't go crazy on any of the judges here. But you and I both saw it the same way as Mike Bell instead of Doug Crosby and Sal D'Amato. So what does that mean for Judge Bell?
Couch side override.
I was ready that time. It's always better when we do our little setups here, you know?
Yeah.
There's a cadence to it, my friend. We gotta keep. Don't surprise me anymore.
I wanted to get you off guard.
Now, well, you did. You succeeded. You jerk. We're at the final round, sir. We made it. This is round 11. Saidio Kub Kakramanov. This is the opening fight of the night. Got the win over Ronnie Lawrence. Unanimous decision. 2 30-27s and a 30-26. We have our 10-8-9 split, sir. We're only talking about round 3. Why are we talking about this one?
Well, I mean, this round is much of the same from the first 2 rounds, which is just Kakramanov bullying Ronnie Lawrence, basically wherever he wanted on the ground, taking him down at will. If anything was going to be the 10-8, I did think it should have been probably round 2. Or when I did see it hit at 30-26, I thought, I guess round 2 they did give it 10-8. In round 3, Lawrence throws some desperate spin kicks, and he's taken down again. He scrambles into an omoplata for me. Was never close, but I do appreciate the effort and the attempt from him. From here, it was Kakramanov holding Lawrence down and not really doing that much. They'd get to the feet, and then he would, just hold the body lock. Kakramanov really just seemed content holding position for a lot of this round. I can maybe see an argument for dominance and duration, maybe, because it was one-way traffic mostly. So I guess there's that, but I prefer the 9.
Yeah, I mean, why is this the round? Like that's kind of what I'm stuck on here. Like you're saying, okay, dominance and duration, okay, but like if you didn't give it in rounds 1 or 2, why are you giving it around 3?
Yeah, like I say,
especially 2.
Yeah,
two is the real one, right?
Yeah,
but like they're not equal, right? Not round 1. Round 1 is not equal to round 2. Round 2 is not equal to round 3. Round 1 is not equal to round 3. But I just didn't think this was the highest degree of I guess victory in the round for Kakramanov. So I was pretty surprised to see this one from Tony Weeks, who, by the way, had been notorious as much more likely to give the 9 than the 8. And in 2022, he is distinctly more likely to give an 8. All of a sudden, he's got a total 180. He's like the leading the charge of like, we got to give all these 10-8s, right? It's just surprising to see from Tony. We haven't even seen as much Tony Weeks this year. He's had fewer assignments. I don't know why, but he had fewer assignments for a little while. We didn't see him as much. He seems to be back on a general cadence, right? But man, why is this the 8? I don't see it.
I don't either.
I guess it's an 8 in CSJ, but I don't even know if I'd do that. I'm not thinking about it. I'd have to watch it again through those lens, right? I guess.
I think I get there.
I'm okay with it. I like to stretch it, so I'm okay with it. But yeah, I don't know. This is a 9. This is really a 9 to me. So we're both with judges D'Amato and Camillo here. It doesn't matter. He'd already won.
That didn't. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't affect really.
The victor was never in doubt.
Yeah.
You didn't need open scoring for that.
We just gave us extra work to talk about.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony. Nah, it's fine. But we made it through. We made it through our crucible here.
Yes.
I'm proud of you.
Yes.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
The perseverance that you showed is inspiring to me, to our listeners, to my family, who avid listeners of the show, by the way. My kids, my wife, huge fans of the show.
They're great fans. Can't do it without them.
I always explain to my kids that I do a show, and they don't understand because to them shows are like cartoons and
maybe one day we can become video.
Maybe
one day.
Maybe we'll be cartoons as well. That would be fun.
That would be so cool if we had that.
We can link up with oh goodness, what's the cartoon? Who's the
Tommy
cartoon?
Toehold?
Yes, Tommy
Tommy
Toehold. I was
Toehold,
interacting with
yeah.
the other day too. I was like, I just blanked on his name. I know who Tommy Toehold is.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about Rafael the Ninja Turtle. That's right.
Okay.
Anyway, that's it for our rounds. We did make it through. There were 5 finishes, despite all of these rounds. We had actually a lot of these rounds came in finishes, right? But 4 of them were TKOs or KOs. 1 was a sub. One of these fights ended in the first round, which is why we had so many rounds, right? Although there was still a higher percentage, I think, than normal. I want to say it was like 26 or 7 rounds overall, and 11 of them were split. So not the greatest of percentages, but it's okay.
Yeah, I messed up on that. Typically, I do get the stat for that.
Yeah, good job.
I did not last. I'll post it later.
Yeah, I guess you could. Or earlier. Maybe they'll get it before they see it. Go subversive here. What was your favorite of the finishes, though?
Kenny and Zechiku making Carl Roberson pay for his poor decisions. He initiated the grappling, which made no sense. And then we saw why it made no sense. And then Zechiku wanted the sub. We all saw he wanted the
badly.
sub.
Oh my God. There was nothing he was interested in except for going for subs because he apparently didn't have one. It just seemed like that was like the only thing he wanted, right?
Let me check this off. I gotta get that one trophy.
Well, I was joking that he had put money on himself to win by sub, and he's like, I gotta do it. I got a lot of money on this one.
And then third round, he saw the sub wasn't happening. So,
he was trying again too. He didn't just give up on it in round 3. He tried for like a couple minutes,
and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna elbow him now."
It's like I could have done this 2 rounds ago.
These were. You know what? In this round, when he started throwing these elbows, these were the first strikes of the fight that he put all his might into.
Yeah,
and it finished the fight. He could have finished this so much earlier if he didn't want the
sub.
So
that's what I just said.
It's like
where were
it's
you?
Crazy.
I was just saying that.
I'm reiterating it because
I've called you a jerk 3 times tonight. I'm sorry.
Carl
I do love you.
He initiated the grappling and he realized, wow, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But what was your favorite?
My favorite finish was David Onama, who did get the choke. I don't usually pick the sub because I know you're usually going to pick a sub, but I like this one too much.
Good.
I thought it was a good one. I mean, he got the arm triangle choke and he locked it. I mean, you saw Garrett Armfield. He was defending for a little while. He was defending okay, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's not going well. And it was Mike Beltran was was in the cage there. He was saying, "Show me something," right? Or what was the word he said?
Show me you're there.
Show me you're there.
Yeah.
Show me you're there. Narrator, he is not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point it was out, and he was just out. Round 2, arm triangle finish.
I appreciated how Onama had the confidence to just attack it because he was on the other side, and he's like, I got this. I got to dive over.
Yeah.
He went reckless abandon to get to that side, and he paid off for him.
More power to him. I mean, he probably good confidence here. I think they said he had a win over him in amateurs as well.
Yeah, and I also think they trained together as well.
Okay, well.
So they were very familiar with him, and we didn't learn any of this information until basically fight night about Garrett Armfield. So
yeah, well, I wonder if it was on like Tapology, the amateur bout that they had. I don't know. I didn't look, so
no,
I'm not gambling, so I didn't go deep into their.
Deep dive.
Yeah, I didn't. This was not a bout that registered on any work-related reason. I had to look into it, so it just didn't happen.
I think people were just excited Onama was still on the card.
Yeah, oh yeah,
so.
and obviously he excited those people, so good for them. He excited me. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it for this one. This is the last time we'll be in Vegas, I think, for like a little bit too, which is kind of nice. Because where are they going to be this coming weekend, sir?
On the other side of the country.
On the other side of the yes, but also you're implying the other side of the country from us, aren't you?
It's so far.
It's not that far. It's on Long Island, guy.
Listen, we spoke about TV shows that had a movie. In Entourage, I feel like Johnny Drama when they make him go to the valley. That's what I feel like.
I only picture Johnny Drama standing on top of the mountain saying, "Victory!" because it was great.
Well, we will be there.
We will be there.
You're driving.
I wore you down. I convinced you to at least think about it, and you bought tickets.
Got a good deal.
This was during the week, right? Like as of even last week when we had Spencer on.
Last week
going.
I said I wasn't.
Now you're going. You got a good deal.
Yeah.
I'm glad, and you're gonna be at like a similar viewpoint that I'm gonna be. I think I'll probably be closer, but
you are. Yeah, I'm in the.
It's hard to get closer than media row.
I'm in the 4th row, but I'm like catty cornered to media row.
Sure.
And if you're on that right side, I'm gonna hit you with a pretzel bite.
You better not.
So,
because you'll probably hit like Mark Ramundi. Don't do that. You don't want to mess with Mark Ramundi.
I mean,
you wouldn't like him when he's
it
angry.
Might be worth the risk. To hit you with a pretzel.
It's not. He watches a lot of wrestling, dude. He is going to put you through the ringer.
I watched a lot of wrestling in my day.
And it will be not a work, my friend. Shoot. Full shoot.
Good content.
Thank you. But yeah, we'll drive down. It's an early one too. Don't forget that the main card starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Prelims at 11.
Prelims at 11, which means you gotta wake up early on the West Coast to see this.
Or Europe is loving it.
Or if you're in Europe, you don't know what to do with your evening. Like, what is sleep? How do I get sleep? Sheehan's probably got to be like over the moon about this.
I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah. So it's obviously we're excited for this one, and of course it's good. It's a great main event. I think it's a pretty solid card overall. Brian Ortega against Yair Rodriguez at 145 pounds. Getting 5 rounds of this is gonna be fantastic, right?
I just don't see how this isn't a great fight. So
I mean,
and I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. But it's on paper, this is as good a fight night main event I think as we get.
Yeah.
And of course, it's on ABC. They've obviously put their best foot forward for ABC here. They didn't always even do that last year. They did it, of course, with Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar. But last year they had, what was it? It was Marvin Vettori against who in the
Hermanson?
Was it Hermanson? No, I don't think so.
Uh-huh.
But that was
Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland. Yeah, that was not the strongest. But this one is definitely ready for network TV. It's gonna be a great fight. I feel like Yair Rodriguez is appointment viewing. He doesn't fight that often, but when he does, it's really impressive. Judges here, this being New York, I imagine they'll bring in top judges.
They did last time, so
yeah, that's typical. I would think that we would definitely see Doug Crosby there, who works frequently in New York. I would think we would definitely see Eric Colon, who's from New Jersey. I think we very likely will see Dave Torelli, who's from New Jersey. He's from our neck of the woods, really. He'll be making that same commute unless he stays in the hotel.
So, I wonder if Eric's gonna fly in, being from South Jersey.
He should, because it's obviously very, very far away. So he'll fly into Long Island International Airport, which does not exist.
LaGuardia.
That's not Long Island International Airport. I made it up.
Oh,
LaGuardia is not Long Island,
but it's Queens and it's just as far. Listen, I went to Citi Field not too long ago. It took me 2 hours midday. Left at like 1.
We'll have to figure out how early we got. We might have to leave at like 8 a.m., dude.
Yeah, well, of course we do. It's Long Island.
Like everyone's gonna be going to the Hamptons too. That's the thing.
I'm going to bed at like 9 p.m. on Friday.
Oh man, good thing there's not a Bellator card to keep you up, because I know you love those.
Yeah.
So I imagine we'll get good judging. I'm not worried about that whatsoever. Other fights of interest for you, sir? What kind of jumps out for you?
Shane Burgos.
I
love watching Shane Burgos. He's fighting
and
Charles
he's local
Jourdain.
enough. He's local enough. He's from New York.
Yeah, and Charles Jourdain, he's kind of always fun. So
I think it's Jourdain, right?
Jourdain, my bad.
Air Jourdain.
Jourdain. I'm gonna get a pair of those sneakers.
You should.
Air Jourdain.
You have to order them from a French Canadian website.
Any fights for you?
Oh, a bunch.
Yeah.
I mean, just to highlight a couple, Misha Tate against Lauren Murphy, because there's big stakes here, really. Especially if Misha Tate wins, because if she wins, I mean, it's like almost impossible to imagine she wouldn't get the next title shot at 125 pounds. We've had Valentina Shevchenko turn away most of the other contenders, right? Misha Tate's a name. If she beats a recent challenger to Shevchenko, a highly ranked fighter, I think she's ranked 2 or 3, Lauren Murphy. A Misha Tate win here almost is like no-brainer that she gets the next title shot, right?
I don't see how you can go another route. So.
Misha also thinks so. I spoke to her recently, and then I had a Q&A with her last week. So, yeah, she basically just sees the same thing. Why wouldn't she? Like, she's been in the business a long time. She knows. You should check out my Q&A with her. It was interesting.
All right.
She's always interesting to honestly to talk to. I always have an interesting experience talking to her. She's got a lot to say. But I'm also interested in, and this is on I think it's like the featured prelim before they switch over to ABC from ESPN or ESPN2 or whatever. Ricky Simone against Jack Shore at 135.
That should be good. That should be real good, I think.
All the fights, by the way, that I want to see are 145 and under.
Okay,
and I feel like this is not an accident.
I don't really care for the co-main too much.
What is the co-main again? I'm forgetting.
Michelle Waterson, Amanda Lemos.
Yeah, I mean that's Lemos is a high level fighter, and you know we've seen Michelle Waterson at or around that high level as well. She hasn't been as active in recent years either, but there's at least some reason that this can be from a ranking standpoint. that it's a reasonably high level fight. Although I think it
Misha,
wasn't
Tate,
for
Lauren Murphy.
I think it has. I was gonna say because this fight was supposed to be on the pay-per-view last week.
Right.
It got moved.
Yeah.
Maybe they just had things locked in and said, well, we're not going to change it now. So now this one actually opens the ABC card, which it almost has like a feeling of, for a different reason, when they put Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje as the opener in New York City for pay-per-view last year.
All right.
Same city, or not same city. Long Island. Elmont, New York is not New York City.
It's not even close.
It's obviously 7 countries away, like Dan is saying.
I might need a passport.
Go get your passport ready, sir. Do you have your passport?
It is expired.
Oh, yeah, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Maybe I can sponsor you.
And the Leech is fighting too, Jingling Liang.
Yeah, Li Jingliang. I like that one. Who's he fighting again?
Muslim Salkov.
That's right. This would be a good fight too. Honestly, I like a lot of these fights. I picked out a couple because I didn't want to go crazy and like everything, right? But
it's a good card.
It's a good card. I think it's got a little bit of like. It's got a lot for the hardcores. I think it's got a lot for like mainstream fans to get. So I think it's a good like entryway to get everybody else together and like be exposed to more fighters. I think it's a really good, well planned, well engineered ABC card. Hopefully everything comes together over the next week or so, and we don't get stuck on the Long Island Expressway or something.
Please no. Let's leave at 7, and we'll get it. Long Island Bagel.
Not leaving at 7.
I want to know. I want to know what the deal is with everyone saying Long Island bagels are better than Jersey bagels.
Well, they're wrong. I know that. I know that in my heart.
We should definitely catch a bagel.
We can try that. There. Stay tuned for next week when we do our bagel review. That will be very important.
All right, we'll be back again next week. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you had a great time.
And I feel like you and I can't like judge the fights live because we're not going to have a really good like true view to do it, right? We'll have to watch, I think, the rounds later.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to rewatch when I get home.
Hey, public service announcement. Don't judge if you're not right up against the cage, or at least sitting at home when you can consistently watch a screen, right? It is what it is.
Thanks for listening.
Take care, everybody.